stay tuned for this one. It's going to get interesting. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Let's get started. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is Tangem. This is a great place to hold your XRP or hold your Tether. You can do all sorts of things in self-custody. And the cool thing about Tangem is it's a little credit card and it works with your phone. It's very easy to set up and super secure. So check it out. Use our link down below. It's a 10% off code, but also we're going to make sure that you guys can win some potential Bitcoin here. So be on the lookout for that. Just hit the link down below and get started on your own self-custody journey. Top of the news here, Tether is, of course, facing a delisting under the MiCA rules. And of course, this new regulation is going to take effect on December 30th, right there, guys. So big deal for Tether. And this could mean some bad things for Tether. If you look at the current market cap of Tether, one of the first times that we've actually seen a little bit of a decline here from 140 billion to where it's trading, or excuse me, market cap right now around 138.9. So is this potentially a market top for Tether with what's happening with MiCA? If you look at what Tether is faced in the past, almost every bull cycle that's been out there is there's been Tether FUD. And of course, this is just kind of fun out there. It's kind of the magic 8-ball of Tether's FUD. Other things, though, to take a look at is that we're going to see some things happen with other stable coins. One of the big ones that we've talked about quite a bit is RLUSD. Here, of course, is Bitstamp talking about XRP is going to make history next year. Remember, Bitstamp was a company that was invested in by Rippl, but also recently by Robinhood. So some interesting bedfellows here as things start to heat up here. Now that you've got this research saying that they believe Bitstamp is building a derivative exchanges on the XRP Ledger, and that Robinhood is going to be acquiring Bitstamp in 2025. We're going to see this getting a lot more interesting. I would agree with this, is that the moves have already kind of been out there, and I think it's just a matter of time before we actually see something like this happen. And remember, RLUSD is going to play a big role in this because of the capacity of stablecoins, and especially if we get stablecoin regulation moving quickly. Other things to take a look at, Rippl joins BlackRock and JP Morgan as a member of the Trade Association ISDA. And you'll notice something right here, International Swaps and Derivatives. So they're in the association. Let me zoom in on that. They're in the very association that is talking about derivatives. We're going into a very interesting time in 2025 where you've got all of this coming to a head at once, where you've got Rippl investing in derivative exchanges, obviously the moves by Robinhood and RLUSD all coming together at the same time. Very interesting times ahead here, I think, for sure. Other things I want to hit on is, this is Vlad. He's talking about stablecoin yield incoming. Now remember that right now it's USDC, but you're not getting yield on that within the Robinhood app. You can get it on the dollar. But if we start to see this shifting to stablecoins, things could get interesting. Take a look at this clip.
If you look at some of the problems, you mentioned Tether and how much money they're making. The reason they're making so much is because they don't share the yield with the end users. So if we can kind of marry both and deliver yield to stable coin holders directly, I think that would be a very, very strong value proposition. As we keep working on the wallet and we keep making progress on the back end and hopefully pushing ahead tokenization of real world assets, the wallet becomes a even more important part of the strategy.
Remember, they're talking about the global dollar, USDG. This is the one that they would potentially be using for stablecoin yield. But that in itself is just showing mainly a thought process that Vlad and the team at Robinhood are going through. Here's a tweet by Vlad, and let me zoom in on this because he gets into some interesting things here because they're acquiring Bitstamp. Remember that. So they want to accelerate their vision. They're tying this into crypto as a service, institutional lending, and staking. All of this could end up on the XRP Ledger. So imagine the impact that would have on XRP as a whole. But more intriguing here is the impact it's going to have on the rest of the industry. Now, ISO 20022 has been a project that has been trying to roll out for quite some time. It's now implemented, and we're going to see this start to take place, which is basically Fedwire fund service in a single day implementation. There's only a handful of tokens, and I'll explain this in a second. I want to go to a clip that will explain a little bit more what they're trying to do, and then I'll explain how XRP could be tied in. Take a look.
You may have heard of another messaging standard called Swift. Swift uses its own format, while 2022 uses XML, which is more flexible and easier to integrate. The European Payments Council has set a deadline for 2025 for all SEPA payments to use 2022. Adopting ISO 2022 could increase the use of cryptocurrencies that are compliant with it. Two cryptocurrencies that are members of the ISO 2022 standards body are Ripple's XRP and Stellar Lumens.
Fedwire will be adopting ISO 2022 on March 10, 2025. Beginning in March of next year, the Federal Reserve will require that all transactions going through its Fedwire fund service will have to comply with the ISO 2022 standard.
You look at the list right here. Here's the ISO 2022 compliant cryptocurrencies, XRP, only stablecoin, then Stellar, XLM, not a stablecoin. And then, of course, you see Cardano, no stablecoin, it's proof of stake, quant, etc. So it really is boiling down to simply saying that XRP is going to be the solution, whether it's RLUSD and the framework of the XRP Ledger playing into all of this when it comes to those SEPA payments, simply meaning central banking is going to start using the XRP Ledger. Just to watch all of this happening in front of you in the next few years. Europe also, Patrick Hansen, he's hitting on a couple of things. We've had him on the show before. He's one of the analysts that had really talked about MiCA in the early stages, but he starts talking about next year, the non-bank payment companies, including stablecoin issuers, are going to be eligible to apply for direct access to central bank payment systems. This is the SEPA. So what that simply means is all of these banks are now going to have access to that. Look at Europe and the number of banks that are crypto friendly right there. And the size of that, when you think about that with RLUSD and the fact that they're delisting Tether during the MiCA regulations, you got to think about USDC, and you got to think about now RLUSD starting to become a very formidable force coming up in Europe. Trump also is nominating cryptocurrency advocate Paul Atkins, and I'll get to that in a second. He's coming in as the SEC chair. Very, very pro-crypto, very pro-RWA, real-world assets, tokenized real-world assets. I want to go to a clip real quick because this will get into a little bit more of what he's going to be doing on day one. Take a look.
But for the main point, here in the United States, obviously people are looking for something that is, to use the term of one of the stablecoins out there, tethered to the dollar. So that goes for digital assets. I mean, we still have a lot of clients who are investing in, for example, swaps trading platforms. People are running into, a brick wall at the SEC. There's the lawsuit against Rippl. A lot of things riding on that. So that's like a really interesting thing to follow in this space.
That's the core one.
Paul has been one of us fighting for clarity, regulatory clarity. He cares about tokenization. He cares about how blockchain technology and digital assets can make the financial industry and the securities industry more transparent, how it can make trading easier, what kind of new settlement times we can have. So when I think Paul goes in day one, some of the things that will be critically important for him is he will take a look at all the existing enforcement actions that are out there.
Shout out to Paul and the whole team at Digital Chamber. Wow. The man who is going to the SEC is so bullish on RWA and DPIN. It's disgusting. We literally have a guy in the SEC who knows about a lot of the companies that come to the show, a lot of these companies that are building. Not only that, is bullish on them and want to put them on the Capitol Hill.
Say it with me, our guy. He is our guy.
If you look at the Securitize website, I would say they're one of the, and their statement here, one of the leading tokenization of real world assets. They're involved with BlackRock. This is something we've had Carlos on the show before. We probably got to get him back. But if you would go down and look at their team, I want you to look at this, all right? So there's Carlos Domingo. He's their co-founder and CEO. You probably recognize Michael. He's coming in over from Grayscale. But I want to go down to their advisors. This is where it gets very interesting. Guess who's there? Paul Atkins. Very interesting stuff, guys. We are about to enter into something, I think, that is going to change the face of the financial architecture. Very, very rarely do you get a chance to get a front row seat at this. So be on the lookout for all of this starting to shift things over. And that's not really the end of it. You have to look elsewhere and from a global perspective. And we've talked about this before. SBI Holdings, their critical position, not only with Rippl, but just in the banking system within Asia. And I want to show something here. SBI Holdings, XRP is worth around, they have holdings right now. Let me kind of zoom in on that for you guys. Their XRP is worth around 1.6 trillion, $10 billion dollars, and this is in yen. This is higher than SBI's market cap of 1.2 trillion yen. So they actually have more value in XRP than they do in the company value itself. So are they becoming the MicroStrategy of XRP? Well, there's some things that could possibly predicate that that is actually what's going on here. I want to show you something right here. This was a press release that they had. This was a letter to their CEO, and this came in from the Global Special Situations Fund, and they hit on a few things here. I want to go into a couple of the items that they were asking for. This is kind of showing their stock price when there was even a potential, let me kind of zoom in on that for you guys, a potential of them selling XRP. This is what happens to their stock price. So what they said is, we've got to kind of protect against that. So let's do this. We believe that shareholders would greatly benefit if, these were the things that they were hitting in, SBI would publish a daily live indirect value of its XRP holdings, number one. They would also create a strategy in blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies, so have a business that's built around this. Sound very familiar to you? There's another popular company out there that's doing this now. And then 3, it says that SBI should have an active and public XRP coin buying program. Rather than pay cash dividends, SBI shareholders would benefit greatly if they would do a buyback program by recycling part of its cash flow and going into both banking and the security side of their business. I want to show you the CEO of SBI. Take a look.
何週間かで裁判所の結論が出ると彼は考えてるみたいです。結論が出て、リップルの XRP がコインだということになると、これは大変な値段になると思います。我々外部の筆頭株主ですから、まあ大変なキャピタルゲイン、売ればキャピタルゲインでリアライズされますけど、売れなくても相当なものになるだろうというふうに評価上ですね、思ってます。多分結論がポジティブに出ればすぐにマネジメントは株式公開に踏み切るというふうに思います。
I want to go to a tweet from that CEO, and here's what he said, translated. Rippl should begin preparing for its IPO as soon as possible, as once the SEC matter is resolved. This is going to happen in early January, so we could see something maybe being announced. Don't know if that's going to happen, but that would be a calendar date that I'd be watching for is mid-January. So, and the point being is that this is exactly what MicroStrategy has been doing, selling stock to go out there and leverage back in on Bitcoin. Same thing that could be happening here with XRP. So this is getting interesting, guys. Very, very interesting. Here's another thing I want to take a look at. SBI, every bank in Japan will use Rippl's XRP by 2025. We only have a couple more days of this, but right there you're talking about a pretty, we've shown this before and how important this could be for XRPL to be essentially the financial institution underlying in Japan for all of this. So I think there's an opportunity here for some pretty big moves for XRP as a whole. All right, so I want to go to the chart real quick, and this is the God candle there from November, but the key here is this little yellow line, right, this tracer line. I've got this at 198. This would be the first time we saw a monthly candle close above this. This would be huge for XRP's price stability, a very big position to watch on the monthly candle. So we're going to be watching this throughout the end of this month, see if December actually pulls it off, and it's very possible that it will. Right now, trading at about 218. The other thing I want to get to is right here on Santiment's charts. This is showing several things here. One, of course, is the yellow. That's the total amount of XRPL trust lines. So remember we saw this big explosion, then a lot of old holders basically selling their XRP because they had seen profits for the first time. And then what happens back here in early December? Boom. Trust lines start exploding because people start understanding what is going on. Along with that, you also have the DEX volume exploding. You also have the active addresses continuing to increase. What you have here, guys, is a perfect storm starting to brew with XRP and where this technology is going. Now, the last time we saw this, especially when it's related to a stablecoin, was Solana. Solana, of course, right there, the explosion. There's the stablecoin market cap as it continues to climb, along with the volume of what Solana has been able to do. Now, all of this still gets into adoption phase for XRP. And this is the thing that is interesting to me, is because as you start to see more retail come in, but even more companies, more institutions, we may see an XRP ETF come in, that'll open it up for institutional capital, and the potential here from a global and macro side of things, XRP could be right in the crosshairs for a lot of this growth. Last up here is the total volume of USDC on Uniswap, just to show you what it could happen with an RLUSD. Reached the $1 trillion mark in the first half of December on Uniswap. That is what having a stablecoin can do to these decentralized exchanges. That's why it's so important. It's so interesting with where Rippl and RLUSD is going, along with the rest of the strategy that lines up with XRP as a whole. All right, hopefully this is going to give you guys some more answers, because this is something we're continuing. To me, it's like a puzzle that just constantly is building itself. So many strategic moves that's been made over the last 2 years, and then so many things happening that are good at the right time. That's the key thing right now with all regulation, what's happening with the SEC. Stay tuned to our channel. Make sure and subscribe right now. If you're not in the Diamond Circle, get in. All you have to do is click the link down below. And of course, follow me on X @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.